What's good, folks? Welcome to a trade deadline day edition of the Cover One Film. That wasn't planned. That's why you heard the voice inflection and then saw my eyes and my face change. Special trade deadline day edition, not because this episode was holistically focused on the trade deadline here in the Cover One Film Room, but because it happens to take place on I guess legitimately historic day for the NFL at the trade deadline with the multitude of moves. I think it was the most moves in definitely recently, but of deadline history. Adam Schefter tweeted some stuff out. We saw, I was like, usually there's one or two moves a year, if that.
But 9 or 10 today, right?
Yeah, there was a significant amount. We saw some draft capital moving. We saw some significant players moving, a lot of noise in a variety of ways, offensively, defensively. That ties into what we're going to dive into for the beginning of this episode. Buffalo Bills made a couple of moves today, but the one that we're going to focus on in this episode is the addition of the new shiny toy on the Buffalo Bills offense, and that is running back Nyheim Hines. We are going to dive into some of his plays from this year and take a look at his skill set, at the traits that he possesses that he could potentially bring to this Buffalo Bills offense, how he can be used. Because I think this is we think that this is a potential. It's a move that I think brings up a lot of potential conversations for Bills fans. What does this mean for the workload or timeshare this year between Singletary, Cook, and Hines? What does this mean for Singletary next year when he's an undrafted free agent? Nyheim Hines has 2 more years left on his contract, but the next 2 aren't guaranteed, and there's an opt-out after this year. So, does he stay around? Is he a part of the future? Is he a rental? What does this mean for James Cook? What does this mean for Devin Singletary? Zach Moss is kaput. They 86'd him and sent him to Indianapolis. So there's a lot of questions from a usage perspective. But I think a lot of it also, too, you get a lot of people who don't watch players but then comment on players. So I think there's a lot of narratives that can get spun and twisted at times on players. So we wanted to dive into some game film from Nyheim Hines. Again, Kendall and I also do the Cover One Football Weekly show here on Cover One. So we are well versed in looking at game tape and diving into teams from across the entire NFL.
We've probably watched a little bit too much of the Colts this year.
We have, and I would say it's not been enjoyable for
No,
it hasn't been great. I was gonna say we are one of the few people who aren't Colts fans or Colts analysts.
Why who watching this team?
Why am I doing this again? Sometimes though, it wasn't holistically because of the Colts. We're watching for the defense that they're playing, and we just happen to be also seeing the Colts because they're playing the Colts. But nonetheless, at the beginning of this episode, we will dive into some Nyheim Hines tape. And then the crux of this episode, the meat of this episode, will be focused on the Buffalo Bills versus the Green Bay Packers this past Sunday night, primetime in Buffalo, a game, Kendall, that was a victory for the Buffalo Bills, but one that Bills fans didn't feel too particularly great about. There were some aspects offensively and defensively that made them feel a bit uneasy, but we're going to dive into the offense in this episode because despite some of the Josh Allen turnovers and some of the chippiness and missed opportunities, there were a lot of positives to draw from their performance, especially when you're looking at it from a balanced perspective in terms of what they were able to do with the run and also with the pass.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 games in a row now where you date it back before the bye week. The Bills beat up on the Chiefs on the ground in a way, relative to what they usually do. And then they face another poor run defense in the Packers, and they go to that well again. And that was something where going into both of those games, me and you talked about it, and I was like, yeah, they should run it, but we know what this offense is. We know what they like to do, keep the fastball fat, all of that stuff. But I had doubts. Were they actually going to run the football? Were they going to exploit a weakness on those defenses? And they did it, but they also did it successfully. They didn't just give the opportunity to the running backs to succeed. They actually succeeded with those opportunities. So that's a big part of this and really a big part of the conversation. The fact that the Bills, yes, against the poor teams, they can show that balanced attack with the ground attack and the air attack. But now it's kind of like we need some more measuring stick games. We need some measuring stick games against some teams that are, middle of the pack in run defense DVOA, not necessarily top end, because I'm still not there yet. I want to kind of chip away at it and let's see this run offense go at a team around the middle of the pack in the NFL, and let's see if we can stay as efficient in the ground game. Because yes, like you just said, there were some warts in the passing game. Josh made some careless mistakes, some mistakes that he has gotten away with in the past, but I mean, that's not going to happen every single week. And honestly, he's probably going to learn from those and learn to limit those opportunities for the defense. So ultimately, I think getting more balance, and this is something we've preached for a while, is only going to be a positive for this offense and for this team holistically.
Yeah, and it's something that we continue to bang the drum for the need for a Buffalo Bills run game. It was tied to the running backs that we were looking at in terms of valuation this past offseason during the draft. It was tied to part of the reason why we wanted upgrades and reinforcement of the offensive line in free agency and in the draft. Shout out to Dylan Parham. Good luck out there in Oakland, Vegas. I still say Oakland. I refuse to it's not even like a purposeful effort. My brain is just not like acknowledging that Vegas has a football team. I'm still like Oakland Raiders. But yeah, shout out to Parham out there for the Raiders. But we've talked about the need for the pivot. And again, it ties back to the whole rock, paper, scissors thing. And when you come through, Paul says your Buffalo Bills logo is obscured on the top shelf. It always is. It's hidden. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo thing. It's never overt. Yeah. It's always just kind of, does anybody notice it? Does anybody pick it out? But I see you out there, Paul. Well done. Sorry, we got to stop. This comment says we should go for a hybrid Halloween Thanksgiving tree. We do have a little bit of it. So we've changed the garland. Kendall, I know this is important for you.
Oh, no, I see. Yep.
It's Thanksgiving colors theme, but it's also got leaves on it. So more of a traditional fall theme. But we've also left a little bit of the pumpkin / jack-o'-lantern bulbs that are on the tree. So
are you going to be like taking one pumpkin off per day? Is that how we're going about this?
No, those are beautiful. I would not do that to those lights.
You're not taking. Okay. So it's still Halloween until Thanksgiving hits.
I'm not going to ruin the tree. No, it's still those. They're jack-o'-lanterns, but I've turned them a little. So they're more just pumpkins. They're more just pumpkins for fall. And then obviously more Christmas things will come out. This is what everyone's concerned about, the tree. So I respect everyone. Appreciate your time. Appreciate it. But nonetheless, we will dive into the Bills game offensively from their performance against the Green Bay Packers, the run game, the pass game, some explosives, some Josh Allen pieces, what the Bills were doing successfully on the ground, why it worked, hows and why, scheme, structure, X's and O's, and all those things. But as I mentioned, before we do that, Kendall, as you start to get the film fired up for Mr. Nyheim Hines, I wanted to plug something that we're very excited about here on this show, aka Nickel City Cigars, the sponsor for this show. You can find their website in the episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or anywhere on the podcasting apps or platforms. A new age feel and take on the cigar game. They've got local 716 craft beers at their location down on Franklin Street. They've got bourbon. They've got drinks. They've got an arcade. They've got TVs for you to chill and watch the game. You can order online and pick up in store. You can order online and have your order delivered to you at your house, which I think is fantastic because sometimes I'm a homebody and I don't want to leave my house or do anything. I just want to sit and play video games. Shout out to God of War coming out very soon. I'm going to disconnect from the world. And you just want to have some cigars delivered to your door. They offer you a lot. We're a niche group here at Cover One. They're niche when it comes to the cigar game. They do it right. They do it proper. Mention Cover One in store and get 20% off your order, or use the promo code Cover One. That's cover and the number one all together. Use that online. Get 20% off your online order. There you go. Nickel City Cigars. We're very, very proud and happy to be able to partner with them and, shout them out every single week for having the faith in us to support us and sponsor the show. And hopefully we can do the same. And now, Kendall, giving you some time. Maybe we should get into some Nyheim Hines film. Oh, that kind of rhymed a little bit, but let's pull it up for the shiny new toy for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, so right here, I pulled about I got 4 plays on Nyheim Hines, 2 runs, 2 passes, just from this past week against the Commanders.
And we picked these 4 because they are representative of who he is as a player. These are not cherry picked. These aren't random. These aren't one-off things that he doesn't do regularly or only happen because he was in the Colts offense. We picked these because they are representative of who he is as a player.
Yeah. So these are his best plays in this game, but they are still representative, like you said. I'm not gonna sit here and show you guys 1-yard runs. But on
we show a play where he throws the ball, and we're like, all he does is throw the ball.
This is what he does. Expect this. It's actually funny because his first play, he's Wildcat quarterback. So obviously,
only Wildcat.
Everyone knows what's going on with the Colts. They bench Matt Ryan, Sam Ellinger's the quarterback now. I'm sure they did a bunch of this in this game, where, you got to find some way to have some offense. So Nyheim Hines, Wildcat quarterback on this play. And I mean, you see him with the just really designed quarterback run essentially. And then just the fake handoff to the reverse man, and then just take it up the boundary. A big, really keying in point with this is just the idea of his speed to get to the edge, because speed is a big part of his game. it's going to be that kind of running style when you think about him, similar to how we were actually breaking down McKissick this offseason. Funny how it's all coming full circle. But
although I do think he's a bit of a different runner, especially with the speed to power aspect in his game than JD McKissick. I don't want I saw somebody comment in the chat or that they're the same. They are different.
No, they are different, but I think there's a similarity in the sense that they aren't true between the tackle runners. Like, they can do it. It's something that they're capable of, but they have a tendency to want to bounce it outside because of that skill set of what they can do in open space. And yes, they have the short area quickness, but around all those big bodies, you kind of get eaten up pretty quickly. So this is more of a focal point of his skill set, getting to the edge, forcing defenses to play laterally, and can they match his speed, and is he going to bust up angles with that speed?
His speed is real, 4.38. And I know you aren't as well. We're not all about like, well, if they run a good 40 time, that means they're fast. You can have a 40 time. Matt Breida. Well, Matt Breida's fast. Gabe Davis.
I'm saying like speed, there's more to just speed.
Oh, most definitely. Look at Gabe Davis, like 4.54, 40, beats everybody vertically all the time. Like, there's a lot to it. Nyheim Hines he's got the long speed. He can house. He's like a house call waiting. And he punt return, kick return, runs, passes. He's got long speed, but he's also got that short area burst. And I said speed to power. It's something I've kind of been ever since really studying the Ravens offense and looking at Patrick Ricard. Like, I've become not obsessed, but very cognizant of the idea of, speed to power is used for defensive linemen in terms of how they rush. But I've kind of become more cognizant of like speed to power from an offensive standpoint, whether it's a blocker or a runner. And Nyheim Hines has the ability to, again, convert that speed to power. He's got a low center of gravity. He's short, but he's compact. He's muscular. He's got a good frame. He's not easy to bring down. And you can see in the movements here, like once he puts that foot in the ground, like he's got that explosion. He puts that right foot, gets a couple gather steps, and you see him just burst. And he gets upfield. He showcases that ability time and time again in a variety of ways in this offense. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. Like, he's a good receiver coming out of the backfield with option routes and understanding coverages and how to leverage things and yada, yada. But having more juice and more pop into this offense, it's part of the reason why we were excited to have James Cook, because holistically, you got Isaiah McKenzie, who's got that short area quickness and burst, and Diggs has it a little bit, but you can always add more juice to the offense. And this was an area that the Bills were lacking in times last year. It's nice to get another dude with pop, especially at a position where they traditionally haven't had it. Singletary is more quick than he is fast, but not a ton of juice. Moss wasn't a juice guy. James Cook is, but it was still Cook versus the other two. Now you had another dude with this dynamic, versatile skill set combined with that juice and pop and physical traits. And it's something nice to see. And again, I like how you mentioned, I don't think he's a bad in between the tackles runner, but he will look to push this outside and get vertical. But I like in this instance, he didn't push it too hard. He sees the corner, recognizes that the cutback is there. Yeah. So he's like, okay, I want to push it outside. Crap, I can't. Let me get upfield. And then you even see once he puts that foot in the ground, he gets upfield in a hurry and he has the guys bring him down, but he falls forward. It's because of that strength, that contact balance, but it all tied, speed to power, and it all ties to that burst and that quickness that he has.
Yep, 100%. Another example here, we're going to get him. This is a bit of the gadgetry too. You see him start out wide here, then they split him back in to the backfield with a split back set, quickly snap it, and then you have Jonathan Taylor as your lead blocker. Didn't really need to do much, but gets in front of his man, and it's really a walk-in touchdown here. But the key on this play is really the gadgetry. It's really well-designed play, ironically, for the offensive coordinator that just got fired for the Colts. And
great play design. You're out.
It was a good play design. It was walk-in touchdown. But yeah, no, this goes to show once again, speed to get to the outside. You see Montez Sweat. Let's see if I can get that right. Montez Sweat, super athletic edge.
Very long too. He's got get out in a hurry.
It's not necessarily easy to run around this guy. He does get a little bit narrow down here. He probably should be pushing up more this way. But either way, Hines, very lateral with his motion. Even with the handoff, you can see his aiming point. He is pretty much parallel to that yard line right there. Gets across the face of Sweat, and at that point, it's a walk-in touchdown because of the speed that he possesses. And of course, like I said, the play design, the lead block from Jonathan Taylor to get out there. But this goes to show once again, he's going to be a threat on outside runs. Not to say he's not on inside runs, but I think this is more of his bread and butter, more of the way that he can stress defenses and kind of stretch them to even open up the middle of the field for the passing game through RPO runs and stuff, or RPO passes off this type of run action. So I think there's a lot that he can add in the run game, not nearly as much that he adds in the passing game, because that's truly his bread and butter. But there's still stuff here that you can take away and chalk up to be an upgrade and in addition to this room.
I think you hit a really cool nail on the head with that RPO piece, because it's such a different dynamic when you're running this type of action with Sam Ehlinger in Indianapolis versus running with Josh Allen in Buffalo. And if you've got a running back who is a legitimate threat on the perimeter, it makes that defense pause a little bit. It creates a little more consternation. It creates a little hesitation. It creates that half-second hesitation in your brain where you're like, oh, what do I have to honor in your beat? So anytime you're adding somebody, again, who can threaten the perimeter, who has that real juice and that real speed like Nyheim Hines does, and we're showcasing on this play, it's very real. But again, it gives you that ability to continue to threaten that perimeter. So if you need to, you can puncture the defense back inside in a variety of ways, whether it's with the running back, whether it's with the quarterback on a variety of ways, whether you want to run power read or just traditional pin and pull, or it's an RPO, whatever have you. It continues to allow, the Bills to do something that we've used this phrasing before, accessing more of the menu without having to turn the page. And so again, nice little weapon, very, very much in that mold of, I don't want people to think like, well, Isaiah McKenzie could do this. It's got a different feel when Nyheim Hines is there. But you will see some of that action, the jet sweeps, the orbit motions, little bubble screens, lining up in the backfield, running a choice route. But because he can do it as a traditional running back, it does different things to the defense in terms of how they're going to align, what type of personnel they're going to match with. It's another chess piece option.
Yeah, I think it's just a hair more versatile than McKenzie because of that, like you said, traditional running back skill set.
Just off the basis of, like, if you were to motion McKenzie in the backfield 90% of the time, or 95, 98, 99, it's not going to be a run. If you motion Nyheim Hines, it could be like, at worst, it's
as
like,
an offensive play caller, you're not afraid to give him the football in that scenario.
And as a defender, you have to honor, well, it could be a run because he's actually a running back, or it could be a pass because he's phenomenal in that way.
Bingo.
Your hand was fixed now. Well done.
Yeah, I know. First time I've ever actually fixed it on air.
I didn't think it was going to work, but it did.
Yeah, it took a little bit of time. I really should have circled Nyheim Hines on these, but I believe he is this guy right here. Beautiful circle, by the way.
That's like a reverse G. But it works.
But you see him lined up in the slot, and this is, like I said, more of the bread and butter, more of what you're expecting from Nyheim Hines. And he's lined up against, I believe it's Jamin Davis from Kentucky a few years ago, their first round pick in Washington. But this is the idea. You get running backs on the field, you line them up in the slot. You're ideally going to have a linebacker on him, or maybe a safety, but ideally a linebacker. And it's actually amazing that you get this all caught in the end zone camera, but you can see him right here. And the way he works this route, obviously inside leverage here on the out route, he just kind of sets it up even more towards the inside to create as much separation and room towards the boundary, gets upfield a little bit, and then just shakes the outside. I think the impressive part about this too is, like, this was somewhat of a contested catch. This wasn't like an open window catch for him. You can see Davis's arm in there in the catch point, and he still makes a good catch on the sideline, gets a nice chunky yardage there. So really solid in the passing game. I think this is like an exemplary. I can't even say the word.
Exemplary. I got you.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's only Tuesday, but it's been a long week for both of us.
Right. But I think this really goes to show even just the nuances of it. Very simple play, but I mean, this is what you're going to get from Nyheim Hines. Like, very, very basic, but consistent in the passing game. Like, what you're going to get from this guy, and you see it here, just clinical work, setting him up and then breaking to the outside, sure-handed catch.
This is a good route. If you notice off the line of scrimmage, whether you're seeing it on the sideline, whether you're seeing it from the end zone angle, you'll see him kind of stem this route inside a little bit to give himself more room to operate on the outside. So look at his first couple steps and his body language and his lean. Like, he comes off the line and he's attacking that inside. And what does Jamin Davis do? He sets up like he's going to wall him off and be that player. Then Hines gets upfield, gets a nice subtle hand on him to separate a little bit, but not enough to push off and have it be an issue. Fights through the hand, shows the ability to fight through contact, maintain separation, and then you get that jitterbug type of cut, where the real quick suddenness, that's an aspect I really like of in his game, whether he's running routes, whether it's with the ball in his hands. He's got that sharpness and he's got that suddenness to his game, with that power and that explosion in his feet, his ankles, his hands, his hips, all that kind of stuff. So this is a nice route. Again, it's subtle, it's easy, but this is you checking the easy button. If you're Josh Allen, right? Like, you have your receiving running back threat lined up in the slot against the linebacker. For most teams, even if you have two like nickel linebackers and you play nickel, most of the time that's a mismatch if it's a running back on a linebacker in that regard, let alone with how the Colts are able to use them and what they were able to do. So I think this is a potential blueprint, what you could see from Nyheim Hines with the Buffalo Bills. And if we're looking at things from a production standpoint in terms of percentages, 21.3% of his snaps have been in the slot. That's his second year with over 20% of his receiving snares, pass snaps in the slot. Last year was at 23.2. What's also very interesting is if you look at his route percentage on pass snaps, he's running routes 94.4% of the time on pass snaps. So when he's in there on a passing down, he's in there to run a route because of what he can do, because of what his skill set is and the traits that he has. Again, chess pieces, mismatch opportunity. And it's not just because like, well, he's fast. He's got some technical prowess and refinement to his game. He increases the floor for that position and what you're looking for out of that role.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, honestly, I'm really intrigued to get more time and dive into his slot snaps against zone coverage. I want to see what he looks like versus zone. Can he leverage that spacing, sit down spots, and make life easy for quarterbacks? Obviously, we see here rep and man. I want to see what it looks like against zone, but I mean, time will tell. I don't necessarily have all the time in the world 4 hours after the trade deadline to go and find those reps, but it is an intriguing point for me because I believe, I mean, that's something we've kind of been missing in this Bills offense. You know, you kind of put Stephon Diggs into the slot role against zone, and that works, but does McKenzie have that kind of prowess against zone coverage from the slot? So that kind of thing, I don't want to sit here and say he's a Cole Beasley replacement, but you could get, you know, a percentage of that against zone type of looks from him. So curious to see how that works out. But next play here, lined up in the backfield. I'm going to use the actual circle here.
You didn't want to go with your reverse G again?
No, didn't go well the first time. Learn from your mistakes.
Scout. Get better, study the tape, literally.
And we see him in the backfield here, but what I really like about this is a wheel route that he's going to haul in a pretty big reception here on the sideline. Really nice hands catch there. Really great thrown ball once again, matched up against Davis. But the thing I'd like to key in on specifically on this route, and I think this is something that, I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about the redundancy that there is between Hines and James Cook. I think there's a lot that James Cook could learn from Hines.
Yes.
And yes, there's a redundancy there, but perhaps there's more than that. Yes, that overlap is there, but Cook can learn from that overlap. A guy that's done it before, a guy that knows the tricks and trades of this business, what he's doing specifically in that niche role of running back. So I think Cook can learn a lot from this, but watch how Hines sets up the linebacker here on this wheel route. He knows the route he wants to get to, but he makes it look like it's going to be a Texas or an angle route right there.
Gives himself that space again, like we saw in the previous play.
He's setting the illusion of speed. Even though he has speed, he's setting it up. So he shows right here, like this is that point where he's kind of setting up this linebacker to, once again, flip his hips in this direction where he's kind of walling off the angle route in this direction here. And then once he sees the linebacker has committed to this or has gone flat-footed enough, put your foot in the dirt, get right past him. And this is something, I mean, we've seen from James Cook so far this year when he wants to leak out of the backfield like this on these wheel routes, these linebackers are just getting hands on him and essentially pushing him down to the turf. This is a way to kind of set it up to kind of give yourself a free release into the route.
And what's also beautiful about this is because he gives this route time to breathe and develop, the coverage over the top fully clears out.
Yeah.
So this is a zone coverage, but because of Hines's pacing to this route, he essentially isolates that linebacker in coverage against him and creates a one-on-one opportunity. So you look at the corner, you look at the shell up top, they got a too high shell, and then you watch the coverage, that boundary corner and that boundary safety, There they go. They clear. And effectively, he's just got one-on-one man coverage with no help over the top against a linebacker, and that is pure mismatch every day. So it's a good understanding. It's a good play design and call, first and foremost, again, for this offensive coordinator that it no longer has a job. But it's good pacing and understanding by Nyheim Hines what he needs to do to win on this route. Because, again, it's not just enough to be fast or be big or be quick. Like, you have to know how to use your speed or your quickness or you got to be able to play to your strengths and mitigate your weaknesses. You need to know how to play football. And the route that we showed on the previous play, along with this route, you're seeing him set up those defenders and put them in disadvantageous positions because of his football IQ and knowing how to win and how to set defenders up for failure and set himself up for success. Again, quality route, knowing God knows everybody and their mother sees that Texas route or that angle route coming out of the backfield or that option route or choice route a million times. And even with the way the linebacker's playing it, right? It could be an option route to the point where he's either going to go inside or he's going to go outside. And maybe it's just going to be more of a flat route and the linebacker set it up so he can take that angle. But instead, Hines lets everything clear on the back end and just turns it into basically like a rail route or a wheel route, gets up the sideline, and then a good enough throw. But look at him locate that ball like a center fielder,
on
like
this
over.
angle.
It's beautiful. Like, this is legitimately over his head. He tracks it. This is fantastic hand-eye coordination. This is a receiver level catch. And then it's carrying him out of bounds. Watch him get his feet down and make sure he tip-taps the feet. That's a real quality play. So we've got physical ability, we've got traits, we've got skill set, but he's also got that nuance. He's got that understanding in his game. Again, this isn't a regular occurrence for most NFL running backs. Like, if this is, I don't want to say special, but this is a real high quality play. It's a high quality aspect of his game in an area that makes him very, very, very dangerous. And real quick, I wanted to mention a piece. Rashad McGinnis, who is all into the Colts and one of the dudes I trust most. He's just good in football in general, but especially with covering the Colts. I reached out to him today to get some thoughts on Mr. Nyheim Hines. And see, here's some of the things he mentioned. He said, quote, "He's the dream back on third downs. He's not great in pass protection." This is for you down there in the chat, Matthew. "He's not great in pass protection, but he's solid enough. He's absolutely electric in the open field as a runner. He tends to bounce things." This is funny, Kendall. "He tends to bounce things to the outside a lot, but if there's open field, he's a threat to go the distance. Outstanding as a receiver, whether lining up in the backfield or in the slot. Great hands and short area quickness. Also an asset on special teams. He's been a really good punt returner throughout his career. The cherry on top is that he's a great locker room guy. Y'all are going to love him in Buffalo." Again,
I thought the cherry on top was going to be the punt returning.
No, locker room stuff, which is, I mean, we should know already, like culture,
the kind of guys,
the box. Yes.
Exactly.
But yeah, huge shout out to Mr. Rashad McGinnis. His name is King of Colts on Twitter. But yeah, absolutely a phenomenal follow. Dude knows ball in a variety of ways. And yeah, you've watched tape of Hines and the Colts, and as have I, but he's watched way more than either of us with how much he dives into the Colts. So I thought it was fun too to know that what we're watching, granted, I think we watch as much as we can to really be able to build that sample size in order to have a proper opinion and a proper analysis on these players. But it was nice to see that someone who goes in depth with the Colts had similar sentiments and echoed those thoughts. Because what it means is when you're watching those games, those flashes that you're seeing are not just flashes. They're consistent aspects of his game. And the fact that he can flash consistently, like, that's a really nice piece. There's a reason why, again, not that fantasy is real life football. There's a reason Nyheim Hines has been drafted consistently over the last several years. 2018, he had over 60 receptions. He had 64, which was the 8th most. In 2020, he had 63, which is the 3rd most receptions for a running back. So the 8th most receptions for a running back as a rookie, the 3rd most a couple of years ago. He's a versatile piece. He's a weapon. I'm also interested to see what he could do if they go, like what the Colts are doing with him and Taylor, that pony personnel with two traditional running backs.
I think we're going to see that.
I think we're going to see that. Him and Singletary could be fun, but him and James Cook,
I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be those two specifically. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think as we get towards the later end of the season, I think we're going to see a lot of split back with Cook and Hines on the field at the same time. I mean, that's just a nightmare for defense.
What do you do? How do you match it with personnel? What type of formations do you get to with the Bills? If you get something that works, do you go no huddle? I like I like this comment here too, saying this comment was made when we were talking about Cook pacing his route.
Yeah, the
And
pacing.
yeah, the comparison is like a basketball point guard
Someone
changing
slow
gears.
playing
Yes.
their dribble moves
And
as they
that's so
drive. Yep.
important. Like you have to getting vertical or just winning routes in general, like, but
It's
especially
not
getting
just
vertical.
about the John
Correct.
Ross straight down the
No,
field.
we use that example all the time. Sorry, John Ross, but
it's
it's
the
not just
easiest
about
one.
burning up the field. No, like you need to know how to pace. You need to have that nuance. Khalil Shakir is a tremendous example. His college tape that we poured over, he gets vertical, not because he's a straight burner. Yes, he's fast, but he knows how to lie and sell and build deception. Yes, you have to have those multiple gears. And it's very simple. Like the point guards who get to the paint and drive to the bucket, Chris Paul isn't the fastest point guard, but he knows how to pace. He knows when to attack. He knows how to operate with burst. He knows how to set you up and then bang and then hit you.
And that's the thing. The short area quickness mixed with gear changing, nightmare for defense. There's what do you do?
What do you do?
You don't. No one in the world with a pairing of short area quickness and gear changing like that. No defender in the world has that sort of reactive athleticism.
No, and especially when who's going to probably be that defender covering him, a linebacker.
Right.
Big mismatch. Real quick, some questions from the chat. Connor says, is Hines serviceable between the tackles for about 8 to 12 carries? I don't know if we can put a number on it, but I think from Kendall and I think, yes, he would be serviceable. I think that's a very good way to put it. He's not deficient between the tackles. That's not his strength or his strong suit, but he could work there unless Kendall.
I think that's spot on. If I had to put numbers on it, like a carry count per game, I would lower that margin to like,
I would say 5 to 8.
I was going to say 4 to 6 is what I would be, especially in this offense too.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if we even want to see most running backs getting that many.
Singletary had a ton of work this past week and he had 14 carries.
Exactly.
And he's RB1. So
exactly. Use that as your barometer here. So I think 4 to 6 ballpark. That's how many we're really going to want to see him getting his hands on the football traditionally and as a running back.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And then, as Chris says, that is a nightmare. Exactly. Yeah, there is a lot to like. Pete's comment as well, like that we didn't have to give up so much that we're obligated to keep him beyond the season. He's due 4.5 and 5.1 the next two.
He's not guaranteed the next
Correct.
2 seasons.
There is an
either,
opt-out.
So the Bills have
out after this year.
Flexibility after this season.
So if they want to, cut ties and then bring on Bijan Robinson, do it. That would be fantastic. Chris
starting it early.
I feel like we let Chris down. Chris says, do you guys have a cut of that backflip combo he does after a TD? We don't.
Ooh, I know exactly what he's talking about
sick.
too, because it's a signature. I mean,
that's our fault, Chris. We failed.
We better see that from him too in his first Bills touchdown.
I feel like we let the people down. We should probably end the stream. This is pretty embarrassing.
Definitely messed up.
Oh, awesome comment. Kendall, you're not going to know what this is, but RJ says that flip he does reminds me of AEW's Pac top rope finisher, the red arrow. Yes, but he's a bad guy now, so it's the black arrow. Oh, nice tie-in, nice connection. Look at what we're doing here. We're having fun. Oh, and Chris saying it coming tomorrow morning to the Cover One YouTube. Preview, hashtag foreshadowing, hashtag building the anticipation. Well done. But yes, good addition for the Buffalo Bills. Kendall and I were talking last night before the Bills got Nyheim Hines. We were talking about potential targets and this and that. And Kendall, you and I both like Nyheim Hines. So I wouldn't say that we're, over the moon. Awesome plug. Chris saying, watch the Cover One Shorts feed. Chris does tremendous work for us for Cover One in terms of the shorts that he produces, his video production, the quality, what he chooses to put in, the content, just everything is top notch. So yes, check out that Cover One Shorts feed for all of Chris's fantastic work. Nice plug, Chris. Way to plug your ish right here on the show. Well done. But yeah, good signing for the Buffalo Bills. Somebody who adds, again, another dynamic that at the end of the day, it's another tool and another weapon in the holster and arsenal for Josh Allen and this Bills offense. It's never a bad thing to add more weapons for your quarterback and for your offense. So shout out to him. And again, wasn't really giving up a lot. Late round pick and Zach Moss. Moss wasn't finding work on the field.
It's an objective upgrade.
It is.
Conditional 6, Zach Moss for Hines. It's an objective upgrade. No one can really argue that. Is it Kareem Hunt? No, but it's an upgrade from Zach Moss.
Very fair. Very fair. Pop saying, will Hines be the returner over Shakir? He's got more NFL production.
I bet on it.
It's a fair question to ask, especially if we know that whoever the primary punt returner and kick returner is, the Bills don't like to use them a lot in any other role. See Andre Roberts. So if they do want to incorporate Shakir more, maybe it's like, well, now we can put Hines back there because we want to put Shakir more in the slot or any type of role. I think the jury is out on that. Me personally, I would put Hines over Shakir. Same. And I love Khalil Shakir back there, but Hines has genuine production. He's averaged 11.8 yards per return. Granted, his first year returning punts was a little skewed. He only returned 2. And they were huge gains, so that affects the average for his career a bit. But he's got 2 punt return touchdowns. He's electric. He's explosive. I would put him there at punt returner. Real quick as well, another addition today, the Bills brought back Dean Marlowe. Kendall, any thoughts on Marlowe? Connor asks, can you guys talk about him, what he brings as a backup, especially how he's different than Neal? I have some thoughts, but I wanted to give you the floor in case you have anything.
I mean, first and foremost, I think the main thing is just getting depth. Right now, the Bills have 3 healthy safeties. I mean, that's really the big thing.
And are you counting Poyer in that?
Yeah.
So then, 2.5 healthy.
So that's kind of the thing. It's like if one were to go down, you have 2 safeties, and those safeties are Jaquan Johnson, DeMar Hamlin. So more than anything, I think this move is a sign of familiarity. It's bring that guy in as depth, but he's also familiar with what we do here. He's been coached by Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott. He understands the system. He's contributed meaningful downs in this system. So I don't think you're really going to skip a beat in terms of if someone were to get injured, of course, knock on wood, he would be a serviceable depth replacement. I don't think you're missing a whole lot there. Different than Neal. I mean, I don't even remember the last time Neal has played safety.
I think Neal is fully out of the safety
right?
bracket at this point.
I don't So that's the thing. It's just like he's different from Neal in the sense that I don't know if he's going to have a special teams impact like that. He's an actual safety. Probably won't be playing he could be the nickel the dime corner in this system, whereas Neal might have been the dime corner. Yeah, exactly. Like that might be the change. Like he could usurp Neal as the big nickel. So that's about the best comparison I could do relating him to Saranio.
He's a bigger guy, bigger frame, length, size, smarts, knows where to be. And that at the end of the day, that is, I don't want to say number 1, but that's a super important piece for this defense and Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier. It's the reason why Levi Wallace, despite not being big or strong or fast, was so successful in this defense and so trusted by Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier, because Levi Wallace was where the coaches and where the players expected him to be time and time again. I think Marlowe is in that camp. Maybe potentially we see some of those 3 safety looks come back. RJ, I see you answer and are asking that question. Potentially, maybe, but I think this is more of just, you got to put some reinforcements into that group. You have to add some stability and some functional depth. And why not bring a guy back who saw some success here, who has familiarity in the scheme, in the system, is well liked in the locker room, is well liked by the coaching staff. I don't think that this isn't like, again, I'm not saying, Connor, you're saying this, but it's not like, oh man, they got Jeremy Chin. What does this mean now? But
they traded a 7th rounder for the guy.
Correct. He's going to be backup depth. He can start in a pinch. He might have some special package use potentially in the game, but he raises the floor of your depth and your
the foundation is set. It should never drop below the ceiling of Dean Marlowe at this point.
Because if something happens, my thought is Poyer's going to miss some kind of time, not long term, maybe a week, maybe 2, maybe 3. But
if that has to happen,
but if it did before, it's Hamlin and Jaquan Johnson, then what are you doing? Is it Cam Lewis going in at safety? Is it Saran Neal? Like, what are you doing? Now you got that other guy, you've got that piece, kind of answers that a little bit there potentially. Wanted to grab this question real quick from Chris as we start to transition to Bills Packers film. Chris saying, does Kareem Hunt have that deep ball over the shoulder catch in his game? I can't remember seeing him do that like Hines can. I think that's actually
going back to Chiefs days.
I don't know if he's ever really had the opportunity to make an exact play like that. Hines is a good receiving running back. And so is Hunt as well. But I think Hunt offers a lot more as a runner as well between the tackles, outside of the tackles.
More of the fully balanced, like there is no weakness to his game, but
Hines is that, if you have like the skills chart where like it goes to where strengths
there's
are.
a big peak for Hines, whereas, Hunt's got that perfect circle.
Correct. Well said. Very well said. Not to knock Hunt or Hines, but I see them as different a little bit. But again, that makes sense because Hines is being brought in for a very particular and specific reason. Good questions, good energy, good atmosphere. Welcome to Buffalo, Mr. Nyheim Hines. We know he's watching tonight, probably, definitely, most definitely, of course. So welcome. We're excited to have you. We'll see what happens as the season moves forward. He's got every opportunity to potentially play this weekend. That's already been reported. So we'll see if he suits up against the Jets, if they have any packages built in for him, and we'll see what happens. But now we switch to what we've already seen happen, which was the Buffalo Bills play the Green Bay Packers this past Sunday night under the lights in Buffalo, prime time. let's dive into the meat of this episode and looking at Josh Allen and this Buffalo Bills offense and how they put together a balanced game plan against the Green Bay Packers, which again is something to be said. If you're looking at, again, volume stats are not everything, but total pass attempts for the Buffalo Bills, 25 against Green Bay. Total rushing attempts, 27. Yes, some scrambles from Josh Allen are factored in there, but the idea of ever coming close to 50-50 balance, even with scrambles and kneel downs or whatever kind of things, variables you want to throw in there, that's pretty wild. So, again, balance from a volume standpoint, but also in terms of an attack standpoint. And that's really what we're going to dive into tonight on this episode.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, I alluded to it. The Bills decided to attack a weakness of the defense, and that weakness was run defense.
31st rush DVOA coming into this week, a team that has been beaten, even though they go 5 down on the defensive line. They love going with those 5 down fronts. They're often too aggressive. They've been gouged and gashed time and time again. They have communication issues. We talked about it last week. This was where to attack this team.
Totally separate argument, but I think they play way too wide and they make way too many bubbles. There's just so many bubbles.
You're just looking at their line and it's like, they probably have a plan for that bubble. And then it's like,
look how wide this is here. There's so many bubbles going on here. Pick a lane.
And you know what's tough? When you have that bubble, it's not necessarily bad like inherently, but the defensive tackle on that side at the one tech is Kenny Clark. And Kenny Clark loves to shoot gaps, especially backside.
But he has to eat doubles.
Correct. So you're not setting yourself up for success with this alignment if you're the Packers, because Kenny Clark's mindset, how he likes to attack, combined with his skill set, but what he needs to do on this play, it doesn't work. And it's wild because Kenny Clark is sweet and Rashawn Gary on that edge right there is also awesome, but they're just, the alignment makes them lose from the get-go.
Yeah. But that's like a whole separate can of worms. What's going on with the Packers defense?
Yeah, we'll do that later. There's like one Packers fan in here watching, and he's like,
keep going. No, we're getting back into the Bills. Like we alluded to, Bills establishing the run. This is literally the first play from scrimmage. You see the Bills going with the quick like zone RPO look. And, getting like 4 or 5 yards out of it. I wish this wasn't a 3 and out from this opening drive. You want to see first down run success turned into a successful drive. But ultimately, I think this is a good play. You see, like we just talked about, the wide front from the Packers, pretty light box. You only got 6 guys, and Devondre Campbell seemingly leaving the box.
I tweeted a picture of this exact image, and I was like, this box is literally daring you to run against it. Like, this is disrespectful to a run game. Like,
I mean, there were times in this game where I was like upset the Bills didn't run, because you're looking at boxes like this and they're passing in the second half, and you're like, what's going on? Look at this.
This is an easy 6 yards, like minimum.
Exactly. And then you look at how this play plays out, and you see Morse kind of get a bit of Kenny Clark here and then try to climb to the next level on Quay Walker. And I think if he climbs a little bit more decisively into Quay Walker, maybe then Singletary can get a little bit more decisive with his cut. You see Singletary like kind of deciding which side he wants to cut off of Morse.
And also a good play by Quay Walker to like beat the block. And
he's jumping both sides of Morse while this whole thing is happening.
He's got a 2-gap right here, which we see Evans do all the time, and he makes a good play. This is a good play for a rookie linebacker.
100%. So definitely kudos to him. I mean, I will say, like I said, I wish Morse was a little more decisive getting upfield to attack him at the second level, because I think there was a little bit more meat on the bone for Motor to bite off there.
Definitely.
But still, ultimately, successful first down run, and that's really what you like to see. Once again, you look at this box against a box that looks like this. I mean, this, like you said, Ant, it's inviting you to run.
Yeah, it literally is saying, like, do it, you won't. Like, that is the defense that's right here. My favorite piece here is the Morse piece. Like you mentioned it, I love the help that he gives Bates on Kenny Clark. Like, it's physical, it's quick. It allows Bates to completely win and get positioning. It takes Kenny Clark out of this play. You watch Morse right on the center, and then bang. I love how he gets like underneath. It's not just like he's not chipping and just going through the motions. Like,
you get underneath and you get his feet out from underneath him.
Yes. Done. Like, completely loses leverage, completely off platform and off kilter, puts him down. And then, you just see him hesitate just a little bit getting to the second level. And if he could have got on him a bit faster, maybe it helps Singletary already be able to decide where he's going instead of Singletary having to make the read in the moment. But again, not a negative play by any stretch of the imagination. A good gain to start your first drive of the game. I saw this one and I was like, let's keep this going for the entire rest of the game. You got like a good 6-yard gain on first down against a team that has been threatened on the run. They disrespected you with that box off the ground, off the get-go, like, and you attack it. Great start. But yeah, unfortunately 3 and out on the rest of this drive, but a good tone setter, good run here. You'd like to see more, yardage here, like you mentioned, meat on the bone, but good start. Shout out to Mitch Morse for wrecking Kenny Clark, but just not getting enough of Quay Walker. And again, I want to shout out Quay Walker.
Yeah, no, this was a really nice play from him. He's been struggling so far this season, so you definitely got to tip the cap to him.
And I think Roy's got a point here as well. Yeah, that's fair. And Roy even says it here, like against a 6 front box, really 5 with how Campbell gets pulled out. I think only getting 6 yards is a disappointment. I'll always take 6 yards, but I get the notion of, like if we freeze frame it with Campbell out of it,
I got it.
You're thinking like this should probably look at that. Like,
especially with the idea, okay, we're chipping him, we're going to open this up, and then it's just going to open up this run lane right here if we can seal.
Especially with how successful it is against Kenny Clark, with how Kenny Clark gets blown up, like you're thinking like, okay, 10 yards first down.
Like here's the alley, just right through there.
I mean, you said it, there is some meat that's left on the bone, but nonetheless, a successful run. You would like to see a bit more, but good start to the game.
And then next drive, we see them come back, and I got to say, the Bills ran a whole lot of duo this game and a whole lot of jumbo with Bobby Hart. And I got to say, we got to start giving our flowers to Bobby Hart as essentially a quasi tight end. You see him, he's playing outside of Dawson Knox.
I don't like the white forearm sleeve and the white glove. It makes his hand look huge and his forearm look small. It annoys me. Sorry, continue.
Bobby Hart.
No, I've actually never been like a huge, I mean, I thought.
No, I know, but it's just, Bills Mafia as a whole. But you see the Bills running duo here once again, super wide front, but obviously there's a lot of Bills on the offensive line here, so you kind of need to match that if you're the Packers. But it's a pretty, light box in the terms of there are 7 here. There are 7 from the Packers, but it's so wide that once again you're creating bubbles for this Bills.
But also it's a 7-man box, but the Bills have 7 on the line, so it's 7 on 7, and if you're even, that's numbers advantage for the offense every time.
And the Bills, like I said, run and do it. You see the double teams here, got double, but you really got to key in on Mr. Dawson Knox here. Dawson makes a great play here. Almost, we talked about it on Twitter, and almost the perfect combo block, like what you're teaching on combo blocks.
Stupid Quay Walker again.
Once again, having a pretty solid game and then getting ejected.
Yeah, right.
But you see him chip for the help on Dean Lowry. Once again, getting into that midsection, getting his feet off the ground and burying him. And then he climbs to the next level decisively, gets a piece of Quay Walker, but he can't sustain the block long enough. And that's really all it is. And that's so nitpicky because, he got to him. He allowed Singletary to decisively get through this gap, decisively attack at Darnell Savage, and he makes Darnell Savage miss.
Yeah.
If Quay Walker isn't here, there's more yards here. Like if Quay Walker isn't there to make that tackle, this is arms. These are just arm tackles on Motor. And I think we can all believe that Motor is breaking that arm tackle from Darnell Savage there. So ultimately, good play and on a duo run jumbo set look. So I do like that. And I really don't want to keep like nitpicking like, oh, look at the meat left on the bone. But you kind of tend to do that in the run game when you can kind of see things really clearly.
Yeah, that's fair.
But man, really excellent combo block by Dawson here. Dawson had a really good blocking game, and this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, these are good blocks really across the way, like what Bates did, Morris, like the backside. But the key here is that front side. Again, you're running duo. It's designed to go to this tight end side, that front side. You are reading that front side, strong side linebacker if you are Devin Singletary. And so this play here, you're IDing Quay Walker, and everything works out perfectly. Like Devondre Campbell doesn't even try and scrape over the top. He comes forward. So everything works out perfectly. Lowry's on the ground. He's out of the play. Knox contributes so heavily to that. Yep, you've highlighted Devondre Campbell. Like he's not going to get over the top on this thing. So he's already out of position. And then Morse gets a piece of him. So he's done. Knox does everything right. The way he helps, the way he takes out Lowry, and then boom, he immediately, the opposite of Morse on the previous play, he gets to the second level quickly and he gets into Quay Walker, but exactly like you said, doesn't sustain, doesn't drive. You'd like to see him just get into his chest and
Just keep
get into
driving
it.
down the field.
Exactly. Just get a piece and take him out completely.
It's
Instead,
not just about sealing him off from the run
yes,
alley. It's also about pushing through.
exactly, drive him out. And again, this is another one. You tip your hat to Quay Walker. You can see him brace. Watch Quay Walker, like he sees Knox coming onto him for this block, and he gets low. Walker almost initiates the contact, then watch him do it, and then extend. He jacks up. He wins with leverage.
That separation to then shed.
And that's what you execute so well in the beginning. You can't allow the linebacker to out leverage you in that situation and get that full extension. Like Quay Walker owns this rep after the initial contact by making first contact, really. So again, good run, good call, good execution. Especially from Knox at the beginning there, you'd like to see him finish it more a little at the end. But again, another successful run for this team.
Got to keep counting those. Got to keep putting the feathers in the cap. Whenever the Bills are having successful runs traditionally with their running backs, you gotta take note of it. And here's another one, explosive on a gap run. You see Dawkins get outside with the kick out block on Rashawn Gary, and he's just off balance, can't make the arm tackle on Devin. And then, I mean, Devin gets caught from behind from a speedy Darnell Savage. Keep that in mind. He's one of the faster safeties in the league.
He runs like a 4.2, like a 4.28,
it's 4.2 or 4.3, something like that.
It's either high really 4.2s or low 4.3s. Yeah, he couldn't tackle for crap in this game, but he's still very fast.
He
had a horrible tackling game.
He did. He usually does. But you see the double team here with Quessenberry and Bates on Lowry, and then the design here is kind of like make the look as if it's going to this side of the screen and then follow your lead blocker. You're going to see Dawkins kick out Gary and then Motor cut it back, follow those blocks. You see the created alley there in between the double on Lowry, the kick out on Gary, and he just decisively gets through that hole. Gary can't make the play on him. And making it like this is the thing about Motor. He's so slippery. Making Devondre Campbell miss on this tackle.
I said that on Twitter.
That's what's so impressive. Like I thought live and on all 22 that he was going to get tackled by Campbell. But there is a nice little get to
Quessenberry. Call out Quessenberry for getting to the second level. Sometimes it's not. You don't have to get to the second level and dominate your man. Sometimes it's just getting a piece, and he functions well here. And then kudos to Singletary for getting small, which he already is, and being slippery and elusive in the hole. Like that's jumbled. It's messy. It's full of traffic and garbage. But Quessenberry does a nice job, flowing to that second level, getting a piece, and then Motor. Nice violent chop there from Savage trying to rip that ball out. But this is a good run, well blocked again, good timing, good call. Yeah, you hit it.
Yeah, man, I really like this run. Motor on gap runs is just something different.
Yes. I mean, but that's also part of the reason why we've been clamoring for more gap runs for this team.
He just looks so comfortable.
He's not a zone guy. Like his skill set is not built for that. He is not flow and let me get horizontal and press the line of scrimmage.
Create the alley for me. I will run through it and make people miss at that. He is a design gap
runner. Oh, this run is supposed to go between the guard and tackle. Cool, I'll run there. Oh, I got to choose my own adventure. I don't have a compass.
He's really good when he doesn't have to improv. I mean, or I should say it this way. He's really good when he doesn't have to improv behind the line of scrimmage. And I feel like that's more what you have to do in zone versus gap. You're already at the second level where it's like, all right, now I can start setting up these defenders. Whereas zone, like you're setting up guys the whole time.
And especially when your offensive line isn't making it easy for you to set up the blocking. Again, this is something we've talked about. Like the running backs haven't been good enough to elevate the offensive line. The offensive line hasn't been good enough to elevate the running backs. And so when you're doing that, you just have to play to the strengths of one of these groups somehow. It just so happens to be that gap scheme runs are the strength of Devin Singletary and this offensive line. So I think, again, we saw it in the Pittsburgh game. We saw it against Kansas City. This is another game where we've seen it. Granted, all three of these teams have had similar deficiencies in terms of how they can be attacked. But this is another game where gap scheme runs were the majority of successful runs for this team. They ran it with high efficiency and also from a volume standpoint.
And you see another one here, another example of a gap run. You see, I love the counter runs from this team too. We haven't seen a whole lot of counters this year, not even a lot in this game, but works to success on this play. Yep, just tripped up a little bit. But you see Morse out in front, pulling to the front side of this play, getting around that down block by Bates, and everyone in the backfield, of course, setting this play up as if it's going left. You see Gilliam, you see Motor setting this counter up. First steps to the left. I gotta get this on real time. First steps to the left, and then break it out to the right with your lead guy coming through, and he just gets tripped up right here.
Oh.
Doesn't even allow Gilliam to lead the way for him because he gets tripped up. But, I mean, really well executed from everyone on the front. Just got to get through that hole a little bit faster. And, I mean, this is 6. This is just so well blocked up by everyone.
This is, I mean, I hate to like turn a positive into a negative, but this is where if this isn't Devin Singletary and this is James Cook, or as some people in the chat are saying, if this is Nyheim Hines, this is probably a touchdown.
Right. But then it begs the question, like, do those backs have the vision that Motor has, and would they find the gap this way, even though maybe. It is gap? And
I was going to say, even though this hole is like pretty easy to find right away, this is well blocked from the offensive line. Yeah, they hit it. Like, this goes exactly where it's supposed to be. And look at the second level defenders. So they bring Adrian Amos down. He's number 31. And then they've got that McDuffie, the linebacker from Buffalo, not the school Buffalo, but from the city. Watch how they both flow. Yeah, I think he went to Bennett. Watch them both flow with this counter action.
A little bit, just a little.
Slightly. And that's all you need. Because now what happens? Now
Morris is out in front of McDuffie.
Saffold is out in front of Amos. You have completely walled them off. This should be a house call. And he just gets tripped up. If he has a little more juice, this is potentially a touchdown. And this is part of too, like if you're sitting there, the Packers have 6 down on this front. Like, you shouldn't be getting gouged like that. But because of their ineptitude up front and how they have not executed and how they get up, they want to get upfield in a hurry, but if they get upfield and you get misplaced or displaced because of a gap scheme run, you're out of position. That has happened to the Packers so many times this year. If you go back and I watched 3 Packers games coming into this week. One of them was that Washington game. And Washington is just running pin and pulls, like not even complicated. And the Packers are you're just literally the proverbial John Madden drive a hole through the bus, like type of gaps that are opened up there. Packers get gouged here again because of a gap run. And this is one where the offensive line makes it real easy. The blocking scheme executes. This one, Motor doesn't even have to do much work. As soon as he gets the ball, he's just going straight. I like how he's decisive. He doesn't wait for Gilliam. He's just like, get out of my way. Let me get to the hole. He just happens to get tripped up. But a shout out again to Roger Saffold. Nice little double team initially. Climbs smoothly to the second level. He helps out Dawkins just a little bit. Watch him at left guard there as you've highlighted him because you're not doing your manual backwards G6. He chips and helps a little, gets on the shoulder.
Gets on Amos.
Yep. It allows Dawkins to get another piece of Clark and kind of take him out of the play. And then Saffold keeps climbing to Adrian Amos, walls him off. We see Morse fold around, get a piece of his man. Also, shout out to, granted, it's on Savage, and he chucks Morris right there. But look at Quentin Morris executing on the block there. Comes in motion, gets a piece, leaves his man, and then what does he do? He loses there at the end and gets chucked.
Doesn't matter. He got in front of him.
Correct. And he does what Dawson Knox didn't do on the second clip that we showed. He drives his man. Watch him get into Savage. Granted, different than Quay Walker, but he gets into him and he drives and he pushes and he becomes a force player. Like that's well blocked up front. This is very encouraging because we weren't seeing this type of execution earlier in the year.
Right.
Now we're starting to see it on a more precise type of run with this counter action with the center and the fullback both being your pullers there and leading Singletary through. This is well executed for the Buffalo Bills offensive line. This is very, very, very encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see more of this power running scheme. And once again, we're getting back to the duo, but now we got it with James Cook in the backfield. Once again, another missed tackle from Mr. Savage on this play, I believe.
This one, I'm a defense first guy. Like, that's embarrassing. You have him in the hole, and you don't even trip him up. Like, this is, if you just let it run, like, this is garbage from Darnell Savage. Why are you lunging? Why are you arm tackling? Why are you trying to wrap? Why are you attacking him at his waist with your arms? Like, run. I mean, again, we're not great.
No, I mean, he's got the run fit. He's right in the gap.
This is terrible. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I mean, this has been a thing for years with him. He just hasn't been.
He's not savage when it comes to his tackling.
No, he's not. He's really not. He's just fast.
Darnell Fastage.
Once again, on these duos, the Bills just executing these double team blocks to perfection. You can see it here. You got Quessenberry and Bates on one. And then really just climbing to the next level for Bates here. And you see, once again, Dawson Knox taking care of his man. That's on Lowry. Like, that's a tight end on a defensive end. He is taking care of him, helmet to helmet, lined up, pushes him to the inside, gets him on his knees, and it's just an obvious bounce towards the outside for James Cook on this play. Get to the backside of Knox and then cut it upfield. That's exactly what he does. Breaks the arm tackle because of how decisively he's pushing and pressing the line of scrimmage, which
that's
is
also
something
true
we
too.
really
Like,
liked about him.
not even just to like crush Savage on it, but like you got to give
Look
some
at
credit to Cook.
this
He
is
puts
speed
his
to
foot in the ground.
power.
Exactly.
This is speed to power as an offensive player. This is something we liked out of James Cook coming out of Georgia.
Yes.
The way he pressed the line of scrimmage,
Decisive.
the way he was decisive, gets upfield, speed to power, breaks through the arm tackle, and then honestly makes another defender miss here if there wasn't the scrape back behind the play. I mean, once again, this is 6, but obviously that would have been holding if that defensive lineman wasn't there on that play. But either way, bad play from Savage, but shouldn't overshadow the play that Dawson Knox made to make this alley for James Cook, and then how decisively James Cook took the run gap and then took it upfield.
Just another run where the running back doesn't have to think, where should I take this? Like, this is clear and broad as daylight. Like, Dawson Knox completely washes Lowry down, puts him into the turf. And this is Cook. You know, again, we've often talked about like Cook's downfall is he's often not patient enough in letting his blocks develop, which I think helps more with this offensive line because the Bills' offensive line doesn't really hold blocks for too long. They open it briefly, which for Cook is like, okay, boom, I see it, I'm gone.
You got to find it and go.
Yes, he finds it. You can see him immediately. As soon as he tucks that ball, he gets that handoff. So he's eyeballing Devondre Campbell right there. He sees Campbell come up and fit. So Bates is working with Quessenberry. Bates is going to climb to the second level. He's going to grab Campbell. Cook, you can already see because he knows where Campbell is. Look how Cook has turned his head already. He's already looking
you can
right.
see his footwork too is already set up where he's trying to bounce off this foot to get that way.
He's already setting it up with his vision, with his footwork. He knows he's going right. He sees Lowry get washed down. So he's like, okay, I got to go further. But this is also a key piece too. Go forwards in slow-mo a little bit. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Stop.
How tight he is to Dawson.
Bang. Brian, you friggin' called it. Look how tight he is. This is similar to a spiker and a looper when you're running a twist or a stunt up front and you're running a game on the defensive side. You want to be tight as that looper, right? Look how tight he is to Dawson Knox. He cuts right off his ass like that. Is
pretty much touches that towel.
Boom. And that also changes the angle a little bit with his speed and that kind of force. Exactly. It forces Savage to be put into more of a precarious position and having to come down and make a lunging tackle or make an arm tackle. So this isn't just completely, man, Savage sucks. Like, yes, he should have made this tackle, but Cook forced him into a disadvantageous position.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Bang. This is well blocked up front, even all the way to the backside there. You see Saffold getting in on his man, pushing him over on Jaron Reed. Jaron Reed actually had a pretty good game.
Don't forget Bobby Hart here on the outside.
No, look at Bobby Hart there, just getting his man, getting into the kitchen. Again, well blocked. Good call. Success. Again, duo is is power without a puller. It's in that gap family. And so another successful run in that family, another downhill attack-minded gap kind of run for this Bills team. And the highlights of it here, the double team and Bates climbing, but Dawson Knox beating Lowry. And then, that cut from Cook, like that's a savvy run.
Good display of vision by him. Like this is really something where you see him almost like, I'm sure mentally he's screaming at Josh, like, give me the ball faster. Because he knows where he wants to
give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball.
So really something that you kind of have to notch up and be like, wow, really, really good vision for James Cook here on a play that's designed to kind of go more interior. He sees what's happening. He adjusts to what's happening and he bounces it, but then bounces it efficiently.
And
it's not bounce for the sake of bouncing.
Correct.
It's bounce for the sake of, okay, get upfield, get the yards.
Yes, he's bouncing it with a purpose. And again, he's got that speed and that burst to get vertical in a hurry. This is another one where if you're looking at who's available in this game, Devin Singletary isn't making this run. And Zach Moss isn't making this run. Maybe Singletary does, but he has to break this tackle more legitimately from Savage in the hole because he's not getting on Savage this quickly. He's not closing down that space in a hurry. This is another dynamic that makes James Cook, a threatening piece in this backfield. And another reason why, again, we were very excited We were excited about James Cook's tape before he was a Buffalo Bill. We did a film room, and highlighted him and running backs and different pieces and the aspect of his game. And this is something, again, it makes life easier for this offense. And again, kudos up front, well blocked, but also shout out to James Cook. This is him, playing within the scheme, but then also winning in a one-on-one scenario.
Yeah, we're going to keep it going with James Cook. Obviously, probably the game he looked most comfortable out of any game he's had as a Buffalo Bills.
That jump cut is bonkers.
The gap run here, but specifically what he does on the outside, because this is, who is that? I think that's Preston Smith there setting the edge, and he does a pretty good job meeting the pull front from Saffold here.
So this is one thing I want to mention quickly. The Packers, they love to one gap and come upfield aggressively. He comes upfield so fast. Watch Dawson Knox feign that block. He feigns that block, and Preston Smith is so aggressive that he almost falls on his face. And he literally
Saffold is the reason he doesn't fall on his face.
He falls into Saffold, who keeps him up, but also crushes him. And then Cook just look how smooth and fluid.
Jump cut.
It's like water. Like he's flowing like water. Like, look at that jump cut. It's beautiful. He picks up both feet, puts them right back down. Gone. Like, that's real pretty. And then he makes another dude miss at the second level. But it starts again because they're using that one gapping aggressive nature of Preston Smith in this D line. Dawson Knox feigns that move, and Preston Smith is left grasping at air and then just gets crunched again. A nice full block from him. You get that pin and pull action, successful run. Sorry, go ahead. I got excited.
No, you're good. All I was going to say is good positioning on this, because he gets upfield fast enough and he's in a good spot to force something from the running back, which was the jump cut.
Fair.
He didn't do much in terms of stack and shed, set that edge, but he set it in terms of positioning, forces Cook to make a move. But Morse actually does a good job to avoid some flailing arms here from her flailing legs, I should say.
Yeah, he steps over very athletic. Look at those feet, like a ballerina.
Gets over Preston Smith, and then James Cook follows, gets a piece here. There's clearly not enough to cut this inside of Morse. There's not enough space here between these two defenders.
I would say plus he's got Quay Walker trailing from the backside there. Oh, this is Quay Walker's last play of the game, actually.
Yes, it is. Yes, sir, it is. So he breaks it outside, and then he misses that tackle there. He forces a missed tackle, kind of, the half hurdle type of move, just take your own feet out from under you. And then he keeps his balance to fight for the first down. I remember watching this live. I did not think he was going to get this first down in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was going to get tripped by this. And then once he stood up and kept his balance through this, I didn't think he was going to be able to keep his balance enough to get the first down. But this was a really impressive play by him. And this was shortly after that duo run from him.
Yes. Well, one of the things we knocked him for was contact balance at times. Sometimes he would be strong at that position. And then other times you'd be like, dude, you fell down because of that. Or dude, you really went down because, or looking even, you go back to the Titans game. He runs that kind of slant and go or the out and up on Zach Cunningham on Monday night. And it's there. And Cunningham just bumps him and he just falls down completely. And it's like, what the hell why did you fall like that? Like, how frail are you? But this one, same. I was like, well, he'll get tackled here. Good gain. That's contact. That's shoulder onto the thigh, but he's agile enough to avoid it. And he's got contact balance and he pulls through. So solid job from him. And then the execution piece. So Knox feigns that block, gets to the second level, gets at Devondre Campbell. It's just very well timed in terms of the timing and the sequencing. Feigns the block on Smith. Preston Smith is literally parallel.
I paused this really well.
This is very well timed. And then Knox, you highlighted, he gets to the second level, gets a piece of Campbell. You got Dawkins on his man in the second level. You've got Morse making a beeline towards Adrian Amos. What's also nice is Morse's head position. He turns looking to see if there's any garbage coming from the inside. You look where he turns there. Yes, he sees that there's no threat. So he puts his attention and his radar onto Amos, who tries to undercut Morse and make the tackle. That's part of the reason why he's so shallow on the tackle attempt on Cook, because he's trying to get around Morse. So shout out to Cook. Yes. So shout out to Cook for breaking the tackle, but also kudos to Mitch Morse for being athletic and getting out there and forcing Amos into a more precarious position and trying to make that tackle. Stephon Diggs getting a piece of Jair Alexander, any chance to get hands on Jair, the man who told him he was a little boy before the game, which is fantastic. Again, a different kind of run that we've shown earlier. Pin and pull, but still gap in nature, the line making it work, The running backs making it work. Again, the reason why we wanted to show these runs is it's not just because the Packers have a bad run defense. This is good execution. This is good play design. This is good play calling. This is well done from the front and from the running backs. This is very, very, very encouraging. It's hopefully, like you mentioned earlier, Kendall, and the lead-in for this, hopefully this is something that continues as they start to play better run defenses, a la even potentially this weekend, a New York Jets front that is nasty and they buzz and they rotate. It's not the Bills level of rotation, but they've got a solid 6 or 7 that they rotate through, and they're nasty and they're mean and they play hard for their coach. So if they can move them around, it'd be nice to see.
So that
also
is
from a DVOA perspective, the Jets are 8th in terms of rush DVOA, which would be the highest rushing DVOA defense they faced all year, minus the Tennessee Titans, who ironically are number 1, but the Bills didn't need to run in that game because they just took free access routes and went deep.
Yeah, that is actually pretty weird. I didn't realize.
Right? I would have never guessed that. I feel like if I gave you 5 guesses, you wouldn't have guessed it either.
No,
I would have never guessed
I never would have said the Titans there. That is.
You know what's funny too? You know who's number 2?
It's something I wouldn't guess. It's not the Texans. They suck on the ground.
5, 4, 3.
I got nothing.
Washington.
That's all right.
Without
It's
Chase
shocking.
Young?
Yeah, it's shocking because of the team that they are. But I mean, they got a good front. They have a good front. They should be.
But with how bad their offense has been and how much they've been on the field, granted, maybe that might work in their favor with the efficiency metric piece. But yeah, very shocking. Top 2. I feel like how many people are like, we don't care. Go to the film.
Yeah, I think our overall football analysis is leaking into film room.
Actually, let me go back even. The Rams are 4th right now. Bills also faced the Rams, and the Bills had success in week 1 against the Rams. I know.
Yeah. No, the run game was
so
good
look at
against
that.
the Rams too. Got away early. Got lucky early.
That's true.
All right, so ironically, the running portion of this, the traditional running back portion of this film room is over, and we're moving on to the Josh Allen portion of this film room. But got to sneak in a little bit of Josh's jukes whenever you can. So
hashtag alliteration.
Yeah, of course. I mean, got to go for the alliteration. Bills in the low red zone, or not even in the red zone yet here. But once again, you just see Josh escaping pressure and then making someone miss where it's just like,
savage.
Who is this guy? That I mean, yes, it's savage again, but
this tackle attempt is terrible. Like, it's a good juke, but this tackle attempt from Savage is poor.
Let's
look
focus
at him. Watch him.
That this
Watch
guy
him.
is 6'5", 240 pounds, making quick, sudden moves like that.
Yes,
though,
fair.
Let's focus on that though.
But also because he's
done dirty by Savage a few times.
No, because I got one more point. Okay. Josh Allen is elusive and agile, right? But because he's so big, you would think you'd be able to at least hit him. He's huge.
It's a big target.
You get no parts. No parts.
I mean, it's a good move.
It's a good
move. He sets that leg out. He gets enough lateral movement. And, I mean, it's not a lot of lateral movement, but it's enough lateral movement.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Pulls the Olay on.
But it's a good juke. Again, for somebody of his size and his weight, this is the last thing you want to see and you want to need. Like, this is unfair.
Yeah, but also first part of this, I mean, not a whole lot of pressure there. He just kind of escapes I'd say a clean pocket, but it was probably going to get dirty somewhat soon.
He sees that the Packers are in match coverage and they go with the receivers to the other side, and that's just screaming.
Like, there's no pressure that causes him to do this, but like
he sees it.
There's
he sees the opening.
Like, this is probably the only open option here, and I mean, look at all this green grass. You're going to tell me that Josh shouldn't just take the yards that they're giving him. So, yeah, like you said, match coverage. He's going to exploit that match or man coverage. He's going to exploit the fact that defenders' backs are to him. And you see him do it here with the good old juke move on poor old Darnell Savage.
Great move from Allen. Great mobility. I'm still just so mad at Darnell Savage. Like, it's just such bad tackling. I'm just frustrated.
Amos made up for it though on the back end.
Oh, that was a good finish, and Josh got up and was jawing and said that he loved it. It was really cool.
Of course he did.
I don't want to see Josh taking a shot like that, but Russell Douglas gets him, and yeah, Amos finishes him. It was a nice way to spike him a little bit, but Josh gets right back up because he's bigger than both defenders combined. I can't believe Savage got no piece, bro. Like, just Okay, but it's fine. But yeah, I mean,
We're
this is
moving on.
the duality of man. Like, what do you do in this
No,
regard? And then he just gets up laughing. Like, you gave him a good shot, and he just gets up like, ha ha ha.
no, and
And
I
you're just
think
like,
that
"Dude."
that's the thing that most of Bill's Mafia takes away from those hits. It's like, you know, you're like, all right, how long is this guy going to make a career with his legs when he keeps
Correct.
getting hit like this? But then he pops up from these hits and he's literally laughing and he gets more energized when he gets hit like that. And you're like, all right, well, his health, but like
My
momentum in an individual game, like
I was
what
gonna
do I
say,
do
I was gonna
here?
say selfishly, like his health, my entertainment. His health, my entertainment. It's awesome to see, and
Yeah.
I think of more of it from. I mean, one, it's generating yards, which can potentially lead to points. I think of the momentum. I think of the galvanizing aspect of the team. Like
Yes,
this makes
exactly.
everybody pumped and
Yes.
just gets them more. But I do at the same token. Like I felt the same way with oh, what's the run he has against the Chiefs? And then he kind of like backs into Justin Reed at the
Yeah,
first
I
down
remember that.
marker.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh, look at him get right back up. And
Exposing
like,
your back
yes,
like
I
that
don't want him to
is
get
not
back
good.
up.
Yeah.
Again, and once it comes playoff time, bro, I don't
You gotta
care.
go for it, right?
Unleash
Yeah.
everything. But yeah, solid run and yeah, definitely a galvanizing moment for the fans and the crowd and the players. Like this got them even more.
Yeah, 100%. And shortly thereafter, you get this play with the touchdown to Knox. And I mean, this is talk about the duality, man. I mean, you got the dual threat from Josh Allen on this boot action. And
Yeah.
of course, the entire defense has to respect the boot action, but one too many defenders respect it. You got Preston Smith coming off of his man, Dawson Knox. But I mean, that's by design. You know, you get the chip flat by Dawson Knox. That rusher is probably just going to go screaming at the quarterback. And you have Amos taking up the trash from Preston Smith. You see Amos here trailing on Dawson Knox. A little bit too close, not much of a window for Josh to throw into, so he buys some more time. And then as he gets closer to the goal line, Amos peels off of Knox, but then another man peels off of Knox, and
Savage.
guess who it is? That man who probably shouldn't have peeled off. It was Darnell Savage.
I'm gonna ask Darnell Savage to be on the show.
You probably should just ask him what is going through your head.
What are you doing here, bro?
But no, that really is the thing here. I understand it. I mean, this is the obvious thing with Josh Allen. Like, he's screaming around the corner like this. You got to get a body on him. You got to make sure he doesn't get an easy touchdown with his legs. But just too many too many resources allocated to Josh Allen's legs. This is one. This is two. Three should be sticky in this area on either of these two guys, or maybe Jair goes there and then Savage takes McKenzie. Either way, one too many resources on Josh's legs, and it exposes an easy touchdown for Dawson Knox.
Yeah, they don't cover well enough in the route distribution here on this play, like obviously. But when you're put into a position like this of having to honor his legs, but also having to honor his arm again, up like a couple plays after you just like, so he runs
right
down
after
to the goal line, then they run the ball on first down, and then this play happens. So 2 plays earlier, he just ran for it on like 3rd and 14 or whatever it was.
Yep.
And then it took 2 of you to bring him down. So if you're Darnell Savage, like, and you see Amos flying up to meet Josh Allen, like, is Amos going to bring down Josh Allen? Like, no, you probably got to help a little bit. Although Amos like does make a play, even though Josh gives himself up a bit. Like we saw this last year also against New England in New England. Like Matthew Judon was put in the position where like, do I go after Josh or do I play the pass? Like, what do I do?
Can't be right.
No, you can't
be right.
You're in a lose-lose scenario unless Josh screws it up or there's a drop or a defender makes that. That's what it is, right? Too. If this doesn't work, it's because the defender has to make an amazing play out of structure right here in this moment, which is a lot. Like you put so much onto the defenders to stress them, and it's just a tough. It's a tough position to be in if you're the defense, especially given what just happened 2 plays earlier. This isn't fair. Like this is not fair.
No,
and this is what Josh Allen brings.
Yep. That's the long and short of it. It's just really hard to defend this guy. And we're going to move on to another example of how it's just really difficult to defend this guy. You got Stephon Diggs in motion into the slot as the 3 receiver to the top side. But really good concept here. Also just a lot of once again, resource allocation. I'll go back to the sideline so you can see it. But you see Diggs kind of just sit down there and you get 2 defenders just screaming down on Diggs. You got the dagger concept with, I'll go back once again. You got clearing. Excuse me. That's on the wrong man. Either way.
Foolish. Terrible, Kendall. Who are you, Darnell Savage?
clearing route
There you go.
on the dagger, and then the dig right underneath it. And it gets the safety out of there. It gets the boundary guy out of there, and it just makes wide open window for Gabe Davis. But got to watch what Josh Allen does on this. Just silly stuff, something we've talked about for a long time, man. The pump and reload ability that Josh Allen offers is just ridiculous.
That's stupid.
Like the speed and like, I mean, we talk about his ball handling from a like deceptive standpoint,
like a play action standpoint,
play action stuff. But like this is also in that category of ball handling. The ability to pump and reload this quickly, get the ball off platform and right on the money to Gabe Davis on this dig. Really excellent stuff. Concept on top of just execution from Josh Allen. So really great play all around.
That dagger concept creates like you have the clearing round. It creates like that high-low kind of opportunity, but then that's even like further amplified because of what Diggs is doing underneath, like you mentioned, which occupies 2 defenders. And go to the sideline angle real quick, if you don't mind. Watch the timing of Gabriel Davis on this dig route. Watch how he cuts, almost similar to what Cook did off of Dawson Knox. Watch how Davis cuts right off of Morse's ass. Watch. It's just bang. It's seamless.
Yep.
It's such a good cut. Like the timing
really
is there. The angle of the route is there. Like, so first off, like a really good route by Gabriel Davis, like understanding where the space is, when to break, the timing, everything. But let's focus on Josh Allen from this angle. Watch him reload as he pumps. Now his right foot is going to be his forward foot.
It will be when he throws it.
Correct.
But look at his right foot right now.
Look at it. It's off. Now he steps forward with the right foot and then he hops. He doesn't follow through with his body or anything. This whole throw is just arm. He pumps it. He reloads. He's on his right foot. Like, that's not good form. And he's on his right foot. And not only is he on his right foot, but then like you can see like how not planted he is and not on platform because of how he jumps. He does that little bunny hop after he throws it. And this ball goes what? 5, 10, 15, 20, probably like 25 yards downfield on a rope.
On a rope. It doesn't look like it. It looks like a bullet pass.
With no base. With no platform. Off of his right foot, kind of barely. Like, this is arm arrogance or arm talent or whatever verbiage people use. Like, I know some people use those arm arrogance, like use that negatively or as a detractor. Some people mean it positively. I mean it positively in this instance. Like, that's
you want
stupid.
him taking those chances. You want him to make those plays because those are plays that other guys can't even make. No. So give yourself the opportunity to make that play.
And that's the era that we're in with like Allen and Mahomes right now. Like, they're making throws that, you know, Brady was on time and on rhythm, and Peyton Manning was on time and on rhythm, and their execution and their mental aspect and mechanics.
Doing this type of stuff.
No, like this isn't normal. This is rare. Like, Allen does it. Mahomes pulls these throws out of the bag. Like, this is ridiculous. He's got no base, and it's just a 25-yard flick downfield to Gabriel Davis, who runs a good route on this dagger concept. This is just foolish. Like, what do you do? Like, you watch this, and you're just like, dude, if you're the defense, you're just like, what? Like, oh, come on.
What? Yeah, it was good. I mean, look at the pocket. I mean, it's shrunk down on him. There's really
too, like, the pocket's collapsed. It's not clean.
Not much more time than what he had.
Like, and Jaron Reed's got his hands up, so he's got to get it over Jaron Reed on the line. Like,
it's just not normal stuff.
No.
But we're seeing it as normal. We're getting spoiled by Mr. Josh Allen. And we got another play to show how spoiled we are by Josh Allen. This is the out and up to Diggs here. A little bit condensed to give him some space on the boundary to make this play on the out and up. You see him attack upfield, fake it as if you're going out route. And because the man is so plastered on him, he doesn't really have to sell it all that much. You just need enough commitment from that DB up the field where you can just take it back towards the pylon. You see Diggs get that separation there. Really well run, really efficiently ran. But take a peek at Josh Allen again. I mean, what he's doing in the pocket, just kind of like flat-footed, super wide, just a hip toss and a wrist flick. And it's just right in the bucket. It's just a wild throw. Pressure bearing down on him from Jaron Reed here. You can
He knows
see
he's going
it
to take a
like,
shot. He's going to
yeah,
take a
he
shot.
knows it. And that's why he doesn't step into it. He stays flat-footed. And you see it's all just turn those hips real quick and flick the wrist. And the ball is just right in the bucket to Diggs. Like, just fantastic route and throw combination. Just, I don't know what else to say. Like, this stuff just isn't normal.
No, you hit several of the main points. My favorite point, I noticed it on the broadcast, and then I tweeted this out as soon as I could. If you go from the end zone angle, watch as he starts to make this throw, and watch number 31, Adrian Amos, the safety to the boundary on that side. Go slow-mo. Watch as, boom,
This is
highlight him.
Amos,
There you
by
go.
the way.
I think you should freehand draw it. Stop being a coward, but whatever. Watch. So Allen's body is towards Diggs. Watch him stop.
His head right here.
Yes.
I'll go back a frame.
So he's looking.
Watch his head.
So if you leave it there, paused right there, he's looking in Diggs' direction. So where is Adrian Amos going? He's dropping towards that direction. One, that's his zone in this coverage. Two, he's going where Josh is leading him. So now as you go slow-mo past this, watch Josh change his eyes and his body language. So boom, right there, pause it again. Where's he looking? Dead center in the middle of the field. He's got that over route coming across, looking in the middle. So watch Adrian Amos again, the safety we highlighted.
Reacting to that.
Yes. Now watch. What does Adrian Amos do? He stops.
He's not flowing this way anymore.
Correct. He stops. And that slight hesitation gives Josh Allen more room to fit this throw in because there's no safety coming over the top because he's held him with his eyes and his body language. That is playing quarterback. So what you highlighted, right? The physical, not being able to stare down the barrel of a rush and make
now
this
the
throw.
Mental. You see this line of sight right here.
Boom. Like you highlighted that physical piece. Like he's throwing it off platform again. He's not bringing like his lower body in. Like he's not complete. He's square to the throw, but he's not able to really step. It's just a flick and he drops it down the bucket.
Combine it with the mental.
Bang. He's playing quarterback from the head up. Like what do you do with somebody who is that physically dominant and gifted in that way, but is also able to play the position at a mental level? Like that's the next level of quarterback play, and that's what he keeps doing. I love the arm strength and that he can throw it like a gajillion yards in the air. I love that he can hurdle dudes and he can run and he's elusive and break tackles and he can power through guys. But the mental progression is what I just love year after year, and it's so subtle. You don't even really notice it. Like how many people probably see it and like 9 out of 10 are like, man, what a throw. But he manipulates this safety. This coverage should work. Even with Rasul Douglas getting beat, Amos should be over the top because of that too high shell and him supposed to flow into that zone. Like this coverage should be beat. There's nothing threatening necessarily Amos except for potentially McKenzie underneath and having to honor it because Allen shifts and holds him there and makes him hesitate. And it's not even the most. Amos stops and he gets flat-footed, right? And he does pause. But it's not like he starts running the other way. He does it just enough because Allen has that arm strength to just drop it in the bucket. And then he drops it in the bucket in the blink of an eye. And it's actually even a little low, and Diggs makes a great catch here. But just his ability to hold that safety, like, and exactly as the comment here from EB says, friggin' beast, our QB, next level. And then hopefully, our boy, knock on wood, is delivering us a ring. This is also my favorite part. Let it run from here. I love how basically the whole offense just tries to hold Stephon Diggs back from getting at Rasul Douglas because they want him.
And I don't know if you caught this, Singletary and Knox getting the tap on the head for mossing him.
Oh, I do. I didn't see that. I like that.
Yeah, Twitter told me about this one.
Let them know what's good. Yeah, I love how the whole crew is like,
don't do it. The whole crew is there. They're all saying, don't do it. We'll do it.
As soon as he scored, Davis and McKenzie immediately were like, yo, get Diggs. Like they immediately ran to him and they could hear him jawing. Like I love this.
Comical.
It's just good. Yeah, that was man, yeah, that's just it's a great throw from a physical talent and execution standpoint. But dude, the mental piece, like gorgeous.
No, pairing it is what's absolutely massive. All right. Talked a little bit about Cook. This is another one where a lot of people have been waiting to see him get involved in the passing game, and this is one of the more prime examples of it. You see him lined up as slot receiver on the top side of your screen, really just running a slant route here. And because of Josh Allen being pressured, which was a theme all night, mostly was pressured so far this season, scrambles, gets away from it, escapes left. And Cook is already running a slant over in that direction, just kind of keeps going with Allen, makes himself available, makes himself QB friendly, but then Josh Allen just kind of flicking it over the second level of the defense and dropping it right in the bucket again. This is an area of growth for Josh Allen. Let's be honest. I mean, it's kind of like flick touch throw over the second level and under the safeties kind of thing. Obviously, the safeties are literally like 20 yards downfield.
I was
But
muted like an idiot, almost like a teardrop, like a floater from a point guard in the lane.
yes, something he actually struggled with in this game. He missed Kumaro on that one teardrop type of pass. So, I mean, it's still something he's working to perfect, but every time you see it, you're just like, what kind of throw can this guy not make? But really, really good awareness for Cook to continue running with this play. Obviously not like next level or anything because he was already running in that direction, but stays with his man, kind of tries to even it up, try to like, let me see if I can explain this as best as I can. So he's obviously behind Allen here. If he speeds up, he's evening it up so Allen doesn't have to flip his hips even further to throw a back across his body. He evens it up to make it easier for Allen. You can see it's more linear, it's more perpendicular to those yard lines, and makes it easy for Allen, QB friendly, stays in bounds, and gets all the yards after the catch, which obviously the talking point of the offseason, yards after the catch.
Yeah, I got two takeaways. Obviously, the Josh piece and the Cook piece. We'll start with the Cook. So if you go from the end zone angle, he runs this slant route, and so let it play and pause it here. So he looks back towards Allen and then go in slow-mo from here. He sees Allen take off. So what does he do? Stop it here. Look at where Cook is looking now. He's looking across the field, and he's seeing where the open space is. He's like, okay, what can I do now in this instance? Packers are in cover 3. So there's that second level. They're susceptible to deep overs in this instance. So he basically just turns this slant into a deep over. He IDs the space, and then exactly like you said, he gets even, and he just keeps flowing to it, and he keeps finding green grass. And then you see Josh escape, and again, little teardrop, beautiful arc, angle, right on the button, allows Cook to run underneath it, and then Cook makes an athletic catch, brings it down in stride, gets upfield, makes a move. He actually could have housed this.
He really could have. Yeah.
Rasul Douglas, though, chases it down. It
was a good play from the defense.
And then Savage made a tackle. Look at that. But yeah, really great play from Cook. And then if we started from the Josh Allen piece, again, stay from the end zone angle. I don't want to say he should be dead to rights on this play, but this blitzer basically comes free. Quisenberry impacts him a little bit. But if you see from the sideline angle, he doesn't hit him too much. The McDuffie kind of gets in not completely clean again. Quisenberry gets enough of a piece of him, but he gets right into Josh's legs, and Josh just kind of steps over him or through him kind of, and then evades the rush and makes a beautiful teardrop throw. So you have two really good execution pieces, one from Josh, and then again, the other from James Cook, who this is he understands leverage. He understands space. He understands how to be QB friendly. And it's just well done off script and out of structure, which is something that we know Josh can do. And it's really exciting to see a rookie make this kind of play, make this kind of adjustment. Again, like you mentioned, though, not the hardest adjustment in the world. He basically just has to keep flowing. But look how calm and collected he is. He sees what's happening. He's like, okay, where's the space? Okay, I'll go find it. All right, let me catch it and go make a play. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. Good play from him. Obviously, good game from James Cook. Really something a lot of people wanted to see from him, getting comfortable in the run and pass game. So really got to tip the cap for James Cook and his effort in this game. But now we move on to our last play. And of course, it is the light up play of the game presented by Nickel City Cigars. And I want to open this up for you. I want to give you the light up play.
I don't know what play this is. Just kidding. I do know what play this is. So this is end of the first half. Bills get the ball back. This is the first play. And you're thinking, okay, can they get down the field? Can they potentially get 3 points? What can they do? And the Bills go for the throw right out of the gate. Kendall is highlighting Mr. Stephon Diggs here on this play. And Stephon Diggs runs what is called a Dino or Dino post. Some people pronounce it differently. I like to say it both just in case people say it differently. Or some people think wait, you're supposed to say it the other way? I don't want anybody to feel embarrassed. So basically all that is it's basically like a corner and then a post. You sell the corner out and then you hit that post. He gets to look how he sells it. Like back up a little bit just so we can go through it slow. So he attacks that space and he gets upfield. Jair Alexander, if you pause it there, he just communicated. He stuck his hand out. He lets Savage know, okay, like Diggs is yours. He's past the level at which I'm at. Like take him. He's going vertical. Like that's what it is. Rasul Douglas is on Diggs's inside there. That's the man with the green socks circled right there. Oh, he did a free hand. Look at you.
Yeah, that was pretty solid.
Yeah, well. Now watch Diggs sell this corner route, right? Turns his body, turns his head, and look what it does to Darnell Savage. Darnell Savage, the deep safety there, opens his hips and he starts flowing with that corner route. Boom. He's almost horizontal, right? Turning towards that sideline. Diggs puts his foot in the ground and turns it back into that post. Savage has to speed turn his back to Diggs, stumbles, cannot get back over the top, and then Josh just launches a beautiful, perfect dime right over the out. Like Douglas is kind of in trail here. He's not in bad position, and he puts his hand up, and it drops through his hands like a field goal.
Yep, it does.
It's a very good route and concept from the Bills here to push, because you're thinking in this instance, especially the way Diggs and Davis run this, the Bills love to run those smash concepts. I think the Packers are sitting here thinking like, okay, here comes the smash. We're going to have Dave Davis is going to hitch and Diggs is going to run that corner piece, or Davis is going to sit underneath. We're going to get some kind of high-low concept, whatever. And instead, they both go vertical. Gabe Davis continues up the sideline and Diggs runs that Dino post or Dino post, however you want to verbalize it. Great route. Great setup. Completely turns around Darnell Savage on the back end. But now let's look from the Josh Allen piece. Let's go to the end zone angle here. So Josh Allen drops back. I love how he still goes to the fake even though nothing happens.
Oh, yeah.
Drops back. He's committed, right? He's committed to his art. He gets rocked from the edge here and has to release this ball a little bit. Look at just where he throws this and just let it play. Look how perfect of a throw this is.
Throwing this from the 10-yard line.
This is 50.
And I believe it's 55 air yards.
Correct. I said 55 air yards on Twitter. It might be 56, 57, but 55 is the pretty good ballpark. In the air, bucket.
Just couldn't be better.
Just drops it. Now, let's go back to the sideline angle, because the sideline angle has something fun too. So basically just go forward until Josh is about to throw it, and then pause it when Josh is about to throw it. Right there. Look where Diggs is. Diggs is just coming out of that break.
The ball is going to be caught off the screen.
Bang. Like the anticipation and the placement of this throw, it's not there. And he's not necessarily throwing Diggs open, but the anticipation is pinpoint. And the anticipation and pinpoint throw is coming from 55 air yards away while he's about to be hit. What do you do? Like, because again, this isn't horrible coverage.
No.
Like, this isn't terrible. This isn't completely blown. Yes, they got beat. But, dude, and yeah, as Roy says it, Ant's having a lot of fun with this play. You're damn right, Roy. This play is sick.
Why do you think I gave this play to Ant?
That's right. I'm lit up right now. Like, this play, dude, it's just, I love the route, like, because it's just such a quality route from Diggs, who's one of the best route technicians, if not the best route technician in football.
Yeah.
The throw is silly. 55 air yards with pressure bearing down. The anticipation, like, straight up. What?
Reminds me of the throw to Robert Foster against
the Jags.
Yeah,
that was one of the best ones. Yeah, I didn't even know how he got it out. It looked like the ball just like slingshot it out of his hand.
It looked like the defender made it go further.
Bro, like this is just a hell of a throw. The protection is decent enough on the right side, but Kenny Clark gets through as well. Like, so Josh has pressure coming in his face and from the left edge, and he gets hit, stands in the pocket again, and just launches a big boy throw on with pinpoint accuracy, with sniper's precision. And Diggs runs a sniper precision level route. Like
you said, it was good coverage, but it's just better execution by the offense. Like it probably would have been great coverage if this route wasn't ran as precisely as if the throw wasn't as accurate.
If you look at it from the end zone angle, like at the catch point, Russell, like there's more separation from the sideline angle, but from the end zone standpoint, like Douglas is in good position. Watches the balls. Like Douglas is like right there. Like you still got to drop that in over him.
Literally, like you said, field goal.
Dude, that's funny. It looks like he's got giant yellow arms.
I mean, that's the ball.
Dude, like this is a good comment from Roy. He says, "And is so lit up, his tree is getting jealous." Well done, well played. This is a wild throw. Like and The only reason it's not the pure highlight of the play is because Diggs runs a good
Yeah,
route. And also, again,
exactly.
like, shout out to Dorsey. I think Dorsey is playing on the Packers defense, thinking like, okay, we normally run this in this scenario. The Packers are going to think that that's where we're running. So we're going to do this instead. They're thinking A, we're going to do B. So shout out to Dorsey. Shout out to Diggs for this route. And then Allen for just making a. This is silly. It's just silly. That ain't normal. Like, just what do you do?
No, it's
What
not.
do you do?
I
Poor
mean,
Darnell Savage. We picked on him a lot.
we really did. We
Didn't mean
really
to.
did.
I didn't have anything in my notes about like Savage is terrible. It just kept coming out.
It came up naturally. I mean, that's what happens. Every now and then in the film room, you kind of you notice a trend and you're just like, wow, the Bills really picked on this defender, or man, this defender just didn't do well. And that was kind of more the case for Savage today. But man, we are spoiled by number 17. We truly are, from rags to riches at the quarterback position.
It's just a and again, I think it can get lost at times because I feel like he makes such amazing plays that it's not old hat, but I think you said it earlier. It's like kind of expected to a degree. Like he makes these plays and it's just like, oh, that's our guy. But it's like,
you look around the league and then you have to remind yourself, like, yeah, that's our guy. But like, a lot of teams don't see this for like literally the entirety of their franchises.
Yes.
Like reality.
Sometimes you just have dudes that transcend, like, and I'm not just saying because this is like a Bills podcast, especially because you and I are both so objective, but like this is what it was like, I would imagine, if you were, ironically, a Packers fan in the 90s and Brett Favre comes in and just starts slinging 50-yard lasers everywhere and running and making all these plays, and he's pitching the ball and doing all this crazy stuff.
And everyone's like, probably ridiculing him. Like, that's not how you're supposed to play the quarterback position.
But
all
he's
that
just
kind of
wilding
stuff.
and making all these plays. And the same thing with, I don't know, when granted you kind of expected more, but the Falcons get Michael Vick and it's like, holy hell, like, look at this dude. And then the Chiefs have Mahomes, and I'm sure there's been other iterations throughout. I mean, even probably when the Broncos had Elway, or even when, granted, they were more pocket guys than runners, although Elway could move a bit, or even Dan Marino, like this dude who's throwing like 60-yard pinpoint missiles everywhere, dropping things into the bucket. And it's just another level in terms of what a player like that can do for your team and your franchise. And as Brady and Aaron Rodgers are potentially starting to like see their way out, it's just the timing for the NFL to be like, that's cool. We got like Mahomes and Allen, and also Justin Herbert is pretty sweet. And even like Burrow is pretty sweet. Like there's this next crop of quarterbacks waiting to come up, and it's headlined by Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, who are both they just do things that aren't normal with their legs, with their mind, with their arms. Absolutely tremendous play. Again, I know he had some interceptions and some, mistakes in this game where he pressed a little too much. I think that stemmed from the chippiness and the intensity of that game. He knew that. And I think if the game wasn't, I don't want to say in hand, but if the game was closer, potentially, I don't think you see that pressing there. I think he was trying to rub their noses in the dirt for the chippiness and the trash talk and the back and forth that was happening throughout that game. But he made some throws in this game that at this point are par for the course, but were nonetheless amazing. And again, it highlights his performance, but also this offense. Because again, Kendall, we wanted to highlight some of the strengths of Josh Allen and what he did in this game, but also the balanced attack of this offense. Like when you've got this passing attack with this level of explosivity, I know that's not a word, but I'm going to keep saying because it sounds right. Yeah. When you've got that level of explosivity and that ability to gash teams and threaten them with the vertical aspect and with the pass, and then you can couple it with a competent and or above average ground game that's a legitimate threat that defenses have to honor. Rock, paper, scissors comes into play, and the defense has to account for more than they're really able to account for.
Yeah, 100%. You got to keep teams on their toes, make them honor all facets of your offense, and it's only going to make life easier. Like I can't stress how many times I have to say that. But no, it's truly my belief in it. It gets supported week in and week out in the NFL. The teams that are one-dimensional, they don't last. It's just not sustainable. So any semblance of efficiency in a traditional running back game is going to do good things for this offense. So glad to see it keep going. We're going to get another test this week against the Jets, though. I mean, that defense really shored up. The pass rush is legit. The back end is legit. The run defense is legit. So there's not a clear and obvious way to attack this team. You just have to execute. And what you do well, you have to do it well, and then also complement it with perhaps what you don't do so well, and that is the run game. Can you prove to be efficient enough to help out that passing attack so you aren't one-dimensional come Sunday.
Yes. This is the Jets defense that is 8th in total DVOA, and they're 8th against the pass and 8th against the run. And that's even considering how poorly they started out against the Ravens and against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they didn't start out well.
No. You're really starting to see the impact that Saleh can have on this defense, but also the additions of DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner and what Quinnen Williams is able to do with Carl Lawson up front now, and Jermaine Johnson, and Franklin Myers is playing well.
They are legit. That defense is real. Don't just say same old Jets because, scouting the helmet. Like, this defense is real.
Yes, and they're functioning and they're flowing. And I think more importantly, even though they're coming off a loss against New England, they have more belief in themselves this year. Like, they're flying around. They're
probably upset about that loss. Yes. Like, that could really motivate them for
this game. And they're at home. The fans are going to be buzzing. Like, this is a good test for them. And again, a good test for the Bills offense, because this is a defense where you want to be two-dimensional. Not that you can't beat them if you are one-dimensional, especially if you have a great one dimension.
Yeah.
But this defense can stress you and strain you if you can only do one thing, and they can present some problems. They've got good players. They can play a variety of coverages and schemes on the back end, both in terms of man and zone.
Yeah.
And they've got players now, again, like you mentioned, on the front, on the back end. CJ Mosley starting to look like Baltimore CJ Mosley. Quincy Williams looks like a missile everywhere he goes and what he does. They're nasty. They fly around. They got belief. They can pressure the quarterback with just 4. With their stunts in their games or power.
And that's why you got to establish the run. Make sure they don't get up the field too quickly and pass rush. You got to keep them honest.
You cannot give them the ability to do what the Bills do, which is just rush 4, fit the run with a light box, or not worry about the run, and then drop 7 into coverage. You can't have that coverage disadvantage if you are the offense. So yes, a good opportunity and test for this Bills offense in terms of maintaining this level of balance and this mode of attack that we've seen grow a little bit each week from Pittsburgh to Kansas City. And this past week against the Packers. We'll see if that attack continues. What we get from Nyheim Hines, an exciting addition for this Buffalo Bills offense. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up and do it for us here on the Cover One Film. Real quick, but as we start to wind down, as people are starting to head on their way out, if you haven't dropped a like on this video, please go and do so. If you like this video, it goes a long way towards legitimately helping us to track and trend in front of more ears. It affects the algorithm. When you drop a bunch of likes, it pushes it to the front page of the YouTube page in general, but in terms of the search engines, algorithms, all those things. So if you enjoyed this, please, and thank you, drop a like on this video. If you're watching later, that's awesome. We appreciate your post live view. Please drop a like on this video. If you are listening to any one of the podcasting or listening to this show on any one of the podcasting apps or platforms, that's awesome as well. Thank you very much for your listen. Please rate and review and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever have you. Please subscribe here on YouTube as well to the Cover One Film Room. Nobody does it like we do. The level of insight and detail that we give into the Buffalo Bills, but also into the game of football as well. Nobody does it like we do in the Cover One Film Room. And I'm not just saying that because we're a part of the show. You go anywhere, look what we do on Twitter, look what we do in the show. Ain't nobody do it like we do it. So please and thank you. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Check out Nickel City Cigars. Check out the website in our episode show notes here on YouTube or in the podcasting apps or platforms. You can find it wherever. You can find us wherever. Find me on Twitter at pro__and. Find Kendall on Twitter at Mersky Kendall. Living the dream, doing all these things. Kendall, you have any words for the people before we shut it down?
Nah, man, I'm exhausted. Go Bills.
Same. Go Bills. Kendall's exhausted. I'm exhausted. Tune into Disguise Coverage with me tomorrow night live at 7 p.m. if you are willing and able. I have Zach Rosenblatt on from The Athletic. He covers the Jets, really knows his stuff. Very excited to. Yes, big get. Very excited to sit down with him and pick his brain on what's going on with the Jets and then dive into the X's and O's, scheme and structure, hows and whys of the most important matchups for this weekend against the Jets. And also Bill's stock up, stock down coming out of the Green Bay Packers game. We appreciate all the kind words flowing into the chat right now. Thank you very much for riding with us live here on this episode. We appreciate the engagement, seeing the ticker go up for how many people are in here, let alone seeing the chat go through and the questions for us, the questions for each other, the engagement.
Yeah, the chat was great tonight.
Yeah, chat was phenomenal, as it usually is here on the film room. We appreciate the hell out of you folks for riding live with us. Again, if you didn't, that's cool too. We appreciate any and every ounce of support you give. Please drop a like on this video. Please rate and review and subscribe. Tell your family and friends and loved ones, anybody who likes the Bills or football, about this show. Word of mouth is always fantastic. If you thought the show was terrible, tell your enemies and try and ruin their day with this show, because sometimes a like is a like, a view is a view, a listen's a listen, a download's a download, whatever have you. We appreciate you folks more than you will possibly know. We will see you next week for another episode of the Cover One Film Room, where we will be breaking down some aspect of the Bills versus the New Jersey Jets. And until then, we hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well, staying safe, being kind to one another, taking care of one another. Brush your teeth after you eat all your Halloween candy. Nobody wants to get a cavity. Take care of one another. Godspeed. We'll see you next week. And as always, like Kendall said, go Bills.